welcome back to Race Day and Real Talks. Today we are here with Sweeney.
How are you?
Yeah, doing good. I hope you guys are well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Looking forward to having a
Thank you for
chat.
joining us.
yeah, be nice.
Um, just to start off with, is it difficult to not be biased when you're commentating?
Yeah, yeah. Naturally, sort of, we're motorsport fans first and foremost, right? So to this with favorites as such, we come into this, especially sort of like series that you've watched as a fan and then you get to go and commentate on. Because you've already had that fan experience, it's sort of like, well, hang on, I already really like this guy. I've got something, that I want him to go and win or whatever. So yeah, it can be quite hard to sort of rein that in a little bit. And equally as well, I'm sure you guys will know, with talking to drivers and things, you'll have more of a personal relationship with one driver over another, and therefore you can sort of be like, but at the end of the day, as soon as sort of the broadcast goes live as such, you're sort of like you switch on and you've got to do a job and not be favoritize other people because it's not fair. Simple as that. So it can be quite tricky, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You got a job to do.
Yeah, nice. When did you decide that you wanted to do commentary?
I didn't really. It was one of those ones where I sort of just done it, and I was like, "This is kind of cool. I'm going to keep doing this." So the story was basically that I used to play Gran Turismo with my friends a lot. We used to do like karting together and things. Um, so we used to sort of like play some Gran Turismo together, and I forgot to press join on one of the games. And for those that have sort of played Gran Turismo will know that if you don't join, you have to spectate. And then I started spectating, started shouting down the microphone. I was like, cool, yeah, this is great. Let's go and earn some money doing this. I was terrible to start off with, but I loved it and I thought it was fantastic. Here I am.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a good
I feel like
backstory.
we've all had that situation where you forget to join or you're too late.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just sit there. Um,
It doesn't take a lot to happen. It's an accident. That's all it was, an accident, and now it's a career. It's great.
Yeah.
yeah. How did you get yourself out there and known when beginning as a commentator?
Yeah. So initially I spoke to sort of a couple of guys that I knew from karting. So my mate Jack Tritton, he raced a lot. He was racing in sort of national level karting and stuff. So he already knew a guy called Chris McCarthy who commentates Formula 2, Formula 3 now. So I reached out to him. I was sort of like, hey, look, mate, I kind of like doing this thing. You're quite good at this thing. How can you help? And he sort of reached out. He was really helpful. He took the time. He set up a call. We had like an hour long chat about things, how to get started, what I should do. And the first thing that he sort of pushed me to do was go and reach out to this guy called Lewis McGlade, who is still a big part of my career now. We've worked together loads. And the main driving force was just going and speaking to people. Don't be shy. Go and ask questions and go and ask for advice. And then because of, asking these questions, asking these advice, you then sort of get the right ideas on what you want to go and do, which is, get some experience and make a show reel. And as soon as you have a show reel, it becomes so much easier because you've got something tangible to show people to say, hey, look, this is me. This is what I can do. This is how good I am as such. And then it's much easier to sort of get the ball rolling and get work. So yeah.
Nice. How did you first get into race sport, and how do you know you wanted to work in the media side of things?
Yeah, so motorsport for me, it's because I really didn't like football. Simple as that. My family were into football. I was like, yeah, cool. It's all right. I'll play it. I'll, join a team or whatever. Got to a point where I, did karting for the first time and I was like, yeah, this is pretty sick. This is fun. I've always been a bit of a neek at school as well. So I've always loved, the STEM, the engineering, the technology and stuff behind it. And first and foremost, I was born in 2006, which means that was right when cars came out. So Lightning McQueen, huge in getting me into it. So yeah, motorsport was sort of always there. And then obviously, like I said, I got more into karting, watched a lot more racing, that sort of thing. And then I was just captivated, speed, fast cars, good technology, so much intrigue around it. And then media, like I said before, I fell into it. I didn't ever really intend on doing it. Initially as well, like from when I was sort of from 10 to 14, I guess, I was so introverted. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I was quite content being in my bedroom playing video games all day, and speaking to a select few people. And then, like I say, I just started shouting down a microphone and it just a switch flips and you're doing it. And now it's something that I very much enjoy.
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest piece of advice to young people wanting to work in motorsport?
That is a tough question. That is a tough question. I'm trying to think one piece of advice. Um, as as obvious as it sounds, whatever you want to do it, right? And it's obviously not that easy, but it's one of those things where people, will give great advice regarding like education, um, networking, get a show reel, get good. The only way you're going to be able to do all of those four things is to do what you want to do. So, say for a media side of things, right? There's no job application. You're not going to go on Indeed and see motorsport commentator listed, right? It's not one of those things. You go and do it and you create these opportunities yourself. So, for me, like I say, F1 game, I was jumping straight onto that. I was doing some open lobbies on Gran Turismo and things. And you make these opportunities for yourself. I think Chris McCarthy posted a video as well about he went to local kart clubs and just sort of said, look, do you want a commentator? Because I want to get some experience. Same for sort of anything. If you want to get into the more mechanical side of things, go to a race garage and see if you can volunteer, make their cups of teas or be around in the environment. Whatever you want to do, find a way to just do it and get experience, and then everything else sort of just falls into place. You learn how to build a portfolio, you learn how to speak to people, you learn how to network. So all those bits of advice, while they are great, they're not really very much use unless you've already gotten into the swing of things and sort of know what you're doing.
Nice. What is your favorite motorsport event that you've worked at, whether it's like commentating or spectating or anything like that?
Yeah, interestingly, I've not actually been to very many sort of motorsport events as a spectator. It's really weird going to like an event as a fan now. Now I've been working it. Um, but ones that I've worked that have been amazing. Obviously, the Esports World Cup was epic. Both years that I went, the team that we had was fantastic. Like they were, we had such a good vibe. The racing was fantastic. Being there in that atmosphere in Riyadh was great. And then most recently, Formula E. So the circuit commentary at the London E-Prix was just it's one of those things. It's just another level. You're surrounded. I got the opportunity to go onto the grid. I had Lewis McGlades. He jumped in commentary with me for practicing qualifying. So quite a surreal moment to have me and him sort of we dub ourselves father and son in the world of commentary. So to do that together was a really surreal experience. So if I had to narrow it down to one, probably would be Formula E, just because of the level that was there and what I got to do and stuff. And to be say I was paid and wanted to be there is even better. So yeah, Formula E all day.
Nice.
When building a portfolio to show your experience, what did you find helped you the most when getting yourself recognized?
Yeah, so when it comes to sort of making, say, a show reel or a portfolio or whatever, and it's interesting that you say this because I was going to make a TikTok about it. So it gives me a good opportunity to get some ideas out. Um, the main things that you want to demonstrate is range, right? So people look to commentators and they think of the David Croft and the very shouty people. And while that's amazing and it's really really good to have that excitement and energy, it's not 100% of the broadcast. In fact, it's actually a very, very slim part of it, especially if you've got a boring race. So the skill actually is to showcase that you can still be interesting and, likable even when the racing isn't great. So one thing that when I signed with Loudspeaker, my agency, they said was to get something analytical in there, get something where you're explaining a part of a car or talking a bit more methodically and slowly to show that you've got that range. And then obviously have it be professional. Don't have these, swanky PowerPoint presentation transitions between each clip because it just looks tacky. So have it clean, have it sleek, don't have it be 10 minutes long. It's a highlight reel, not a documentary. So, 3 or 4 minutes, 30-second clips, those sorts of things. Keep it short, keep it simple. Don't overthink it. And at the end of the day, just choose what shows you best and your personality best. And people, whether they don't like it, they'll look at it, they'll go, this is not for us. And if they do, they'll grab onto it, they'll say, this is great, and we'll keep you. People love continuity. So, yeah, that's one of the big things was just have a good looking, sleek, professional looking show reel or portfolio, and that'll do you a lot of favors.
Do you find it difficult having to focus on all the stats and data when you're commentating?
Yeah. It's one of those ones as well where like, the more familiar you are with the championship, the more naturally it's going to come to you. So for example, this year I've done a karting series. And from round one to now we've just finished round five. in that time, you learn so much about each of the drivers, who's been doing what outside of this championship, what are the stats like, who the one to look out for, that sort of thing. So in that sense, it's very easy to stay on top of it because you've got, a concurrent season and you can look back and you were there, you remember it happening. So you remember the stories as well as the stats. Coming into say a championship where you're joining in round three of a season, you've never done it before, to then come in and have to look at all these different stats, figure out who's what, all the different teams, it can be quite overwhelming. So a couple of really useful tools that I've made and have helped make and have had given to me, things like spreadsheets are so useful, just to like make it really comprehensive, look at who's done what, who again is there to look out for as such. um but yeah, especially like bigger series like endurance racing where you've got three drivers a car, it's really awkward. And but it's such a vital part of a weekend that you do need to know it. And then as you sort of do more of the same series, you get a bit more familiar. You don't need to lean as much on the spreadsheets. It's more natural and forthcoming. So yeah, it's overwhelming, but manageable if you can sort of get that experience and know what you're doing.
Do you find that posting on your own social media helps you to get yourself out there and have more of your work shown to a wider audience?
Yes, yeah. For me on TikTok at the moment, 500 views, very strong. It's going good. It can be difficult to grow that, platform, as I'm sure, like I say, you guys are aware. It can help though. There are people that have done really, really good stuff on social media. Take a commentator called George Morgan, for example. So he started doing like PSGL on the F1 game, really lent into social media and things. And it can help. People are recognized, they recognize you as a person um easier and quicker, and that makes you a bit more approachable and sought after because you're bringing value, both obviously with your skill as a commentator, but also with your following on social media. So you're giving them something in return. Personally, so far, I've not found much benefit in doing social media aside from obviously the benefit of doing it in of itself. So reaching out to people, building community, having a bit of fun. In terms of commentary, I've not seen much of a reward yet, but I know it can be done, content creators and things. So a guy called Super GT, Steve Brown, built up a YouTube career and he was commentating with me at the Esports World Cup because, he was sought after. He's good at what he does. He brings a following and people want that. So can help. It's not the be all and end all. It's not, a mandatory thing. It's just a bit of fun. And if you enjoy it, do it. If not, don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know and make sure to manage with staying in regulation and not overstepping on like any of the rules or getting like overexcited about something that you've seen?
Yeah, don't swear on a broadcast. That is a big no-no. That's one of those ones, and it's a good question as well, because I love a bit of banter, right? Anyone does, because it adds personality. It adds, it makes you feel a bit more human. We're not commentators aren't just these people in a commentary box that talk about the action. We're people. We have chemistry with each other, and you want to have a bit of banter. So, knowing where the line is, where to reel it back in a bit, when you're taking it a bit too far, when maybe it's better to reel it in and focus more on the action is quite important. Getting overexcited about something is really important as well, because again, it leans into the favoritism thing. So if your driver puts it, P5 in a qualifying and you're raving about it as if they've won the world championship, it's kind of like, well, hang on a bit, mate. It's only P5. It's not really that deep. So that side of thing is quite important, making sure you've got a consistent level of excitement. For example, putting it on pole in Q1 is not the same as putting it on pole in Q3. So you do need to kind of save yourself for those sort of events. And then, yeah, just generally watching what you say very carefully and try not to slip up. It's one of those ones where you are very conscious of it. And what we say off broadcast, what we say on broadcast can sometimes be two very different things. But like I say, as soon as you go live, as soon as the headset's on, you just sort of flip a switch and go into sort of like a customer service mode, I guess, where you've sort of just got to be a bit more sensible, be a bit more professional, and yeah, not get sacked.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Would you say that having connections is one of the most beneficial parts of succeeding?
Yeah, 100%. I'd say having connections is probably better than ability, which is not the thing I want to say. I'm sure it's a thing that not anyone in motorsport would want to say. It should be the main metric should be, well, if you're the best, you get the best jobs, right? Unfortunately, it's not the case. So you sort of have to balance two skills with being good at what you do and then also being good at speaking to people and knowing who to make friends with. So, you know, networking is crucial in motorsport, and almost any industry, to be honest. So making friends with the right people, putting yourself in the right places to get jobs is important. And equally as well, on that note, being likable. It doesn't matter how many people you know. If you've got the wrong type of reputation, people are gonna, think you're not a very nice person and not give you work. So you need to not only have a broad network, but also a positive one as well, because that's that. At the end of the day, that's going to get you work. You can be as good as you like. If no one knows who you are, you're not going to get the job. So, making sure you're getting better on the mic and then also better off it, speaking to people, networking, building connections is, yeah, one of the most, if not the most important thing that you can have as someone who works in motorsport.
When it comes to education and lots of like young people still in full-time education wanting to work in motorsports, would you say gaining experience or getting the degree is more beneficial for them?
100% experience, easily experience. At least in my field. I can't speak for everything, so STEM subjects, a degree is going to be very important. You need to sort of know what you're doing. That's at the end of the day, one of the be all and end all points of your career. But when it comes to commentary, experience any day of the week. You're going to have a lot more jobs without a degree than if you just had a degree and no experience. So like I say, it does depend. When it comes to media, a media degree, don't get me wrong, it's going to help. It really is going to help. It's extra ammunition. It's probably on the job experience, puts you into a good position to network with people. I don't have a media degree. I'm not pursuing a media degree. In fact, my degree is in teaching that I'm going to go and do in September. So it's got nothing to do with commentary whatsoever. But like I say, if you want to go into mechanics or engineering, you're going to need some sort of an apprenticeship or degree to back up what you're doing, because you can't just willy-nilly it when it comes to working on a Formula One car or whatever. So yeah, again, it's balance, and it the building and all of this is it depends. But for me in commentary, get some experience, get good, network, and people won't even look at your CV.
Yeah. Would you say that age is a limiting factor to gaining experience and knowledge?
No, I'll be honest. In fact, it can be quite a good thing in sort of, helping you actually. So there are quite a lot of young commentators, people that work in motorsport, and initially you are going to have a bit of a sort of like a stereotype against you. Well, oh, he's young, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he hasn't had the experience. When I was, working on this event, he was only 2 years old or whatever. I've had that. I've had people look at me and go, "How old are you? You look 12." And I'm like, "Yeah, cheers, fantastic. I'm 19. I've been doing it for 4 years, but you do you, mate." It is one of those ones where it can limit you, and people will have some sort of a preconceptualized idea of how good you are. But at the end of the day, people are then going to look at how good you are, and if you can bring value to the table, it doesn't matter how old you are. Yes, don't get me wrong, the older you get and the younger you start, the more experience you are going to get. So when it comes to knowing what you can and can't say, like we were saying earlier, knowing how to research and prep, being around longer, you're going to watch more racing, which means that you're going to understand a bit more about it. That does make sense. So in that realm, experience definitely is valuable, and people do value that experience. But just because you're young doesn't mean you can't have that. You can have a lot of experience at a very young age, which I've been thankful enough to, be in a position to do. So yeah, it is one of those ones. And also people actually do value an element of like young energy. People want, an up and comer or someone they can invest in. Because if you show potential at a young age, people are going to want to help you grow into something that is going to be amazing. So yeah, don't be scared just because you're young to go and get experience and get help, because it's more than doable. I've spoken to people that, 14, 15 that have been like, I want to get into motorsport media, I want to do this and this. And they're young and they're passionate. And at the end of the day, if you're young and passionate, you're on the right track to do what you want to do.
Is it difficult to adapt between all the different series that you do commentary for, like the names of the drivers and the different rules of the series and things like that?
It can be, yeah, 100%. And this is where sort of like prep and research is really valuable. So the style of commentary that you take into a sprint racing weekend, say like sort of like a GB3 or whatever, compared to how you'd approach something like a Le Mans, for example, or an endurance racing sort of esque thing. is very, very different. So that the style in which you're speaking is quite different, as well as what type of commentary you're doing. So it's not just broadcast, it's radio, it's circuit, it is broadcast itself. So in between each of those three, you also have to have an element of adaptation and changing your style to suit what you're doing. Because circuit commentary, for example, it differs to broadcast because those at the circuit can't see the whole track. So on a broadcast, while you can sort of say, as you can see, you've got this and this, they're doing this, you're adding excitement. Whereas with circuit, you sort of have to slow it down a bit more because the PAs aren't always great. So the voices are quite crackly. You need to slow yourself down so you're actually, audible and people can understand you. And then you need to be a bit more descriptive because people can't see what you can see. So you need to sort of give them that sort of style. And yeah, different drivers, different rule sets, always a big one. I really embarrassed myself the first day at Formula E because I forgot that there wasn't a formation lap in Formula E. So I'm sort of there like, yeah, cool. They're about to go on the formation lap. Cars start driving, and they weren't just going for a formation lap. They were racing. Took me about 5 seconds before I clicked back in and got going. So yeah, everyone's going to have those blips. And changing that and understanding the series that you're doing and the style of racing that you're going to get is vital. So that you don't have really embarrassing moments in front of thousands of people at a Formula E event. So yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
I
I think that's everything. So thank you for joining
Perfect.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me. It's been great.